Yesterday, the January 6th committee referred criminal charges against former President Donald Trump. Referred. So let's go through them. Inciting, assisting, aiding, or comforting an insurrection, obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to make a false statement. So our political analyst Bruce Gordon is here with us now. Those charges. So what now? What happens next?
Well, technically, not much really has to happen. These, as you mentioned, are referrals, and so the Department of Justice will ultimately make an independent decision. This appears to up the ante a bit, obviously. There seems to be more pressure on the DOJ to do something in terms of criminal charges because of what happened with the January 6th committee. But frankly, again, these are referrals. They have no force of law. Only the Department of Justice can decide whether or not to actually bring these charges against Mr. Trump and some of his associates.
So it's up to Merrick Garland. A lot of folks are going to be looking to see what he does. But this also could potentially affect the next election.
Yeah, look, there's no question about that. These kinds of legal issues hanging over the head of Donald Trump are going to have an impact on the 2024 race, which, as we know, is already, in a manner of speaking, underway as early as it is. And while you're already seeing some pushback, a statement from the Trump campaign called this a kangaroo court, referred to it as the unselect committee, the kind of reaction you would expect. And certainly there's been some pushback from Republican leaders on this. I think there is no Republican leaders who wouldn't mind if these legal issues derailed Mr. Trump's plans for a 2024 run, because that run against likely someone like, say, a Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is going to be nasty and divisive. And if DeSantis, as early polls suggest, were to beat Mr. Trump for that Republican nomination for 2024, no one expects Mr. Trump to quietly and graciously concede defeat. In fact, there's going to be some nastiness there. Would he withhold his support from Mr. DeSantis, which obviously would create real problems for him in the general election in 24. So there's going to be some real chaos ahead, depending on what happens here. But again, I don't think it's any real surprise to find there'll be some Republicans who are secretly, not necessarily publicly, but secretly saying, you know what, if the Department of Justice derails Mr. Trump, our nominating contest.
Yeah. 18 months of this. Was the whole idea to do what Representative Liz Cheney said yesterday?
No man who would behave that way at that moment in time can ever serve in any position of authority in our nation again. He is unfit for any office.
Is that what the committee is trying to get across?
Yeah, in short, probably yes. Now, unfortunately, Liz Cheney, because of her well-noted opposition to Mr. Trump, may not be the best messenger for that message. She's obviously a Republican, but she's also a very fierce critic of Mr. Trump's. But yeah, look, this was a long time, a lot of time, money, and effort to lay out this story. But in the end, the history books will tell you that it was probably necessary. This is not something that could have been swept under the rug. It could have been a more bipartisan effort, and there's a long trail there. There was an effort made originally to put together a commission on this, a bipartisan commission. Republicans did not agree to that. There were early efforts to get some Republicans on this commission, on this House committee, and 2 of the 5 members selected by Republicans were rejected by Democrats. And so the Republican leadership said, if we don't get the people we want, we're not going to participate. So the Democrats put 2 Republicans on. So there's no question there's going to be partisan claims here. But the bottom line is this was thoughtful. It was incredibly intense. A lot of work went into this. And we now have a pretty complete story of what happened, what Mr. Trump did, and on January 6th, notably, what he did not do to stop this violence once it was underway.
Certainly people had to be held accountable, and a lot of them have been, and you just don't want this ever to happen again. That was another reason they all got together.
Sure.
Bruce, thanks.
Thank you, Bruce.
Sure.